Absolutely.
We have our guest star. Please introduce yourself, sir.
My name's Steve. Great. Nice to meet you all.
Anything about you they should know, our listeners?
Let's see. Well, 32 years old. Truck driver, profession. Have a 13-year-old son, and love God. And love you guys for having me on.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Thanks for coming on last minute, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
We're all in uncharted territory right now, so
Yeah.
I'm excited for the conversation. So today, the topic of our podcast has to go along the lines with how life is short and talking about leisure activities that we enjoy, things that we like to do in our pastime. So I guess
we'll open up to you, Steve. Start out. Like, what's some leisure activities or hobbies or passions that you're pursuing or engaged in outside of your profession of truck driving?
Well, outside of truck driving, I love sports. So literally, I'm a sports guy. Yeah, I love basketball. I actually found a passion for baseball. I wish I would have played in high school, but I didn't. And I like track. But besides sports, I'm actually trying to get into bilingual things. So I'm trying to get into learning how to speak Spanish a little bit more.
Is there a background behind why you want to learn to speak Spanish?
Okay, so literally in 8th grade, you have to take a language.
Yes.
In school. So I chose Spanish because around my community where I lived in New York, there was a lot of Spanish speaking people. So I'm like, you know what? I want to learn Spanish.
Yes.
So 8th grade, I ended up having to take a Spanish class, and I didn't know a lick of Spanish at all, nothing. And at the end of the year, they test you on in order to pass to go to the next grade, you gotta be able to speak, write, and have a conversation with your teacher in Spanish. And literally
at 8th grade?
In 8th grade, yes.
Jeez, that's pretty intense. That's
yeah.
like college graduate.
No, yeah, it is. And it was called a proficiency test.
Okay.
And literally I took it, but my Spanish was just horrible. I passed. I went to 9th grade, and in that class, my Spanish teacher, she literally didn't speak no English at all.
Wow.
She was challenging us and pushing us to just know how to communicate the language. So for me, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this time, I'm gonna focus, I'm gonna, get into learning Spanish. And my mother ended up moving to Jersey. So I ended up leaving out of that class. So I never really pursued it fully. So I just have the basic level of Spanish. And I said this year, I wanna actually teach myself how to, speak Spanish. And also my son is part Spanish. His mom is Puerto Rican and Dominican. So, it would be a good language to learn.
Yeah, of course.
And it's the second fastest
growing language.
Yeah. In the world or
the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reason why.
Cool. Awesome. So what's your process been like? Do you find it frustrating? Because do you sometimes as you're trying to learn, you remember the opportunity you had in the past and how much time you had?
Pause. Let me just make sure it's recording. Just okay.
Yeah.
No
problem. No problem. We're not going to cut that out.
Cut back in.
Yeah, we're not going to cut that out. That's what we did. We had a situation where we missed the whole episode. That's why. We're back. So, was there ever what's the process like now for learning Spanish?
I was gonna go with Babbel, but my aunt, she told me about this free website where literally you can learn Spanish. It's called Allison.com, where there's free courses. It literally is free courses on a lot of different variety of subjects and stuff like that, where you could get certifications and stuff like that. If you take 3 to 4 hour videos and stuff like that, and just do the steps and process, and you get certified at the end of it. Wow. So they have a free Spanish course up there, and literally I was for the new year, I want to get into starting to go through the basics of the Spanish.
Of course.
So we're 12 days into the year, and I'm cognizant of it, and I'm like, okay, Steve, you got to get started. So the process is really, I haven't started the process yet, but
okay.
I need to.
No worries. So I'm gonna hold my thought. He has a good point to make with that.
So what's holding you from starting?
What's holding me from starting? Myself, I would say. Myself, really, just with that leisure passing time, instead of like taking it to relax or watch a movie or so like that, just literally just diving into it. So it's really just me just blocking myself. So no, I got to get out of that, you know.
But is it so? Do you catch yourself like, oh, I should be doing this, and like you are watching something, or you just like you forget about it and it's not top of mind?
I guess a little bit of both, to be honest with you, and also like, you know, I do have like some basic Spanish, and I know what is going to require me to like, you know, actually focus, like 100% focus, you know, and that's the part right there where like it'll just slip my mind, or like, oh man, I should have done this, but I didn't end up doing it. So, you know, it's about being more focused and committed actually to it.
I had a quick question too. Like, when you think about learning Spanish, because I'm kind of like a chore kind of guy by mind. So do you put Spanish in your mind as the same thing as like a chore that you need to get done in the house? Like, if you think about it mentally, is it equivalent, or?
That is actually a pretty good question to ask. And to be honest with you, in a way, yes. In a way, yes, because it's like, it's something that I want. And then also like a lot of my, in trucking wise, you know, like there's a variety of different, like, you know, ethnicities and groups of people that I indulge in, and there's some like my local and my basic customers where like, you know, they're my, you know, my regulars, and literally I'll spark up like a conversation with them, but you know, when you're talking someone's language, like their native tongue, they literally intend to actually,
they affinity to you. They like
they like you more.
Like you're trying. Like you're different,
exactly.
You
So
know?
you're trying. So like when I start up a conversation with some of my regular customers, like literally I know like basic Spanish, like hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, like, and then they'll literally answer back like bien, bien, and y tú, like, so I'm like, okay, and me, okay, so then I start answering back, then they'll just like think that I know, oh, sí, yo hablo español. I'm like, sí, un poco, and they're like, oh, and then they just go off in a rant. I'm like, oh man, I don't know exactly what they're saying. I'm like, I just know the basics is like, you know, so that's the reason why I'm like, man, sometimes I'm like, I should know Spanish a whole lot more than I know already. So, you know, I do look at it like a chore sometimes though, but at the same time, I know it'll be something beneficial for me and for me to just, you know, interact with people around me. And then also it's a goal of mine that I have for this year. Well, I had this goal actually a couple years ago, and I'm like, now I know I got to get into it and do it, because I'm like, man, time is just going by. So it's like, whether I do it, was it 2024 right now? So if I don't do it now, 2025 is going to come around and I'm still going to be the same hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, so I want to actually indulge and get into it.
But I'd like to talk about like motivating forces. Like when you first speak to them in Spanish, you see their eyes light up. Because me and you, we're like the same. All three of us are the same. We love seeing people light up in the when you communicate with them and they're like excited. Engaged. Like how addicting is that when you see them like, and they're like they see a friend in you. They're like.
No, it's really amazing. It's really exciting, and you know, and that's the part right there where like that motivating factor, like pushing past, like, all right, when nobody's looking though, like the work has to be done when nobody's looking, and you know, I'm guessing, like, you know, even realizing now, like, you know, I'm like that person where it's like you know, like Allen Iverson had this like
practice.
Practice. You know, you talking about practice, you know? It's like, I just want to go for game time. So it's like, I just want to know it and just have it in. But it's requiring me to dig deeper and also understand like that when the lights are off and the cameras are off and nobody's around, it's like, hey, you got to put in the work, put in the time. And that's what I haven't been doing, or you know, I've been like, oh well, I'm busy with life, my son, or driving, or my job, and it's like, it's just like, you know, things that shouldn't be in a way. It's just excuses pretty much.
And if I'm going too far challenging with this, let me know. But have you ever thought, okay, you've had this goal in the past, it's been kind of kicking down the line, and it seems to me, again, I don't know how you have approached this in the past, but it seems like you have the same strategy. Okay, I'm gonna sit down, take courses, like, you know, like study for this, like almost ready going into it, like this is gonna be like a sucky situation, like this, I'm gonna go, I have to study, I have to like take a course, versus I think maybe another approach is like, maybe you're approaching it the wrong way. Maybe, again, this isn't work, like you're approaching it like a work task, like going, like doing a truck route or something like that, versus maybe you should be like, okay, what are the ways, how can I learn a language? And I know, again, just, I'm not privy on this, but maybe just go and surround yourself more with Spanish speaking people, or like if you have the means, like travel somewhere. I mean, even around here, there's people that speak Spanish, like in communities, like maybe join like a church or a group or something where they're predominantly speaking Spanish, and just by you being surrounded by that, and just by osmosis, you'll learn the language, and it'll probably be in a more fun environment versus you're back home on your computer, and just like behind the screen, like I gotta learn this, like this is, and like you're like, maybe you're just been approaching it the wrong way. Because if you had this goal for a while, it might just be, the goal might be good, but just maybe the approach might have to be changed.
Or another thing you could even think about is use things that you already like as a means to learn Spanish. For example, movies that you watch 4, 5, 6 times over, watch them in Spanish on Netflix. And it's like you already know what they're saying, but now like because it's not a chore anymore. You're like, I like that movie, but like now I'm listening to Spanish. Or like YouTube broadcast of games and stuff. You listen to them in like just little small little things. Like it doesn't have to be like you change it. Like I'm crazy. I would change the app on my phone so that everything's Spanish. So I have to like learn it, but like it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be a chore. It could be because it's something we get to do. Because it's leisure. Because leisure quickly becomes work, unfortunately, in our society. Because it's like, as a man, you live your whole life kind of provide. So even when it comes to the things that you're trying to like relax on, like, oh, I gotta do this. And it's like, bro, you don't have to flex your muscles to do this. Just kind of like let it kind of happen. Because otherwise, you're not gonna even feel relaxed to go back to work. Because the whole point of leisure is that it's another means of your brain that you're using that kind of gets you out of work. Obviously, there's other things in our life that we do that get us out of work, but like in our own pleasure, it's very good to experience that. And it's even a metaphor for life. Communication is like super powerful. Like learning it and figuring out how to teach yourself a language. You'd be surprised how many areas you'd have breakthrough in your life just by going through this in a different way, kind of thing.
No, that's great ideas about both of you. Exactly, like maybe it is like being around people of like more surrounding myself, maybe like on my days off, going around like maybe
playing pickup basketball,
or soccer, something where it's like I'm actually around the language. I guess I have to surround myself more, because one thing I will do with like my customers and stuff like that, I'll ask them certain phrases like, hey, how do you say this? How do you say that? And like, try to retain it in my head, but it's little bits and pieces. So it's like just being
active
more
learning.
Active learning, but being more indulged inside of it. So that's actually good points.
Immersion is like huge for you, because I feel like you're an on the go learner. Like me too. I cannot sit down and just flip through. Like some people have travel books. They're like, oh no, I got it. No. I like bro, like I need to like exercise it, use it. Like that's kind of like my whole journey with Mandarin, because like the area I'm in New York, I picked up Mandarin. Like I think I told you about that. I picked up Mandarin pretty well, like to the point at which people are like impressed with it. Like I can hear the different dialects. I can hear like when someone's speaking Cantonese or Fujianese. Like I can tell what part of with China, someone's from based on how they're talking. Like I'm starting to hear the accents because I've been fully immersed into it.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. It's good.
And people are willing to share it, especially when you have that willingness to learn. Because they're like, oh, this is so cool that you want to learn. Because many people just look at it as like, oh my goodness, it's so complicated, but it's not.
Instead of making it like a task and a chore and stuff, you guys are actually beneficial. Actually I wasn't really thinking about it like that. Like how it is like, oh man, I got it, because it literally brings me back to like 8th grade again, like where I'm like, I had to take this test, so I have to do all
stressing out.
It's
trauma.
Like
literally. So you're back there.
Because it's like I want to learn, but it's like, man, it's like that process.
You're like, Mom, are we moving again? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, just like pull it back in. But it's crazy how like events in our life are so interconnected too. And I learned this in college. Like once you start using other parts of your brain and you start getting breakthrough, it actually breaks through all throughout your life. Like I found like when I was struggling, because I was an athlete in track and field. So what I did was I took ballet classes, jazz classes, piano classes, joined student government. I did a lot of things that were outside of my realm of comfort. And I found that like in piano class, just being delicate with the piano and learning how to play something and just enjoying it, listening to music, understanding the key chords, I would go to practice the next day and I would just be throwing bombs. because I just had such an intimate understanding
Yeah.
on like just me doing that and being so relaxed at it. I realized track is fun too. Like I took it out of being a test to do it, and then eventually school became fun because I was like, oh snap, like this is the hardest class in the school. I'm gonna make a game out of this. Like it's just like the same way I learned piano. It's like, okay, what is the teacher trying to tell me how to do? What is a good thing? What matters? What do I need to focus on? What don't I need to focus on? How do I arrange my day so that I can integrate this a little bit every day? Because language is like anything in life. It's a muscle that if you don't use, you'll lose it.
Yeah.
Which is very powerful. Like math and language are hand in hand, and even relationships and language are hand in hand. Because the second you put it down, forget it like crazy. You'll be surprised how much you actually do know.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. No. Where I be like recalled to certain phrases and stuff like that. So it was like, wow, like that 8th grade Spanish is going a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, I could get by a little bit, but
Of
it's just
course.
like how we're having a full conversation right
Jiving,
now.
yeah.
It's like literally, it's like I would not be able to do this, and that's what I look for.
And maybe you have to do that. Go into those situations and jive with them and just be like, oh, Poppy, like, honestly, like, my Spanish is not that good. So, like, if you can help me, no, literally, if you can help me, like, let's have this conversation in broken Spanish.
Yeah.
Just so you can, literally, bro.
That is the way I
Just
look
be
at
honest,
it,
yeah. Just be
You're
like, yo,
absolutely
like,
right.
yeah.
I feel like my Spanish is like some other nationalities broken English. Like I'm like it's like in my head I'm thinking that way. Like man, this bit I'm like hope they're like, do I understand you? I'm like,
But
man.
you need to speak broken English to them to understand their language. It's because if you I hate to say, if you degrade your form of conversation,
Yeah.
you can at least start to build from there. Like start to build a similarity. So like I found like with someone who barely speaks English that comes from like China, for example, I'm trying to communicate at work.
Mm-hmm.
They're so impressed by like how I understand what they're saying,
Yeah.
and other people don't because I'm actively trying to listen. I'm like, oh no, like when they're saying how do you say, or they're like trying to describe something.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like could you try to describe it? Don't feel like I can't understand. Take your time and do it, and you'll be surprised
Yeah.
if you also are in the other position.
Yeah.
And you're on that stage, so to speak, and you're like, like what I really want to say, I'm not sure if it's really Spanish. But just put it out there.
Yeah.
And then, they'll laugh, worst case scenario, but they're like, oh, no, this is how you say it. But you'd be surprised how much you actually know. Like, one day you said something, I think you said Fiesta La Pantalones, and I knew right away, I was like, the party of the fans. Like, I knew what that meant. And I never, like, heard it before, but it's like, you'd be surprised, like, what you know without even, like, not knowing, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but you're going to pin that in right there. But you can ask another question. And you can ask us questions, too, by the way.
Yeah. No.
We're not drilling you.
I guess I could be totally reading the situation wrong, but I guess you said your ex-wife was Spanish speaking.
Yes.
Now, did you ever communicate to her in Spanish?
Did I? She actually was more Americanized, so she really didn't. Her parents spoke Spanish, but she was like more Americanized, where she it was like more like Spanish was like a second language to her, so she mostly spoke English.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily, I didn't really communicate that much in Spanish with her. So that's why I would say like even though I dated her or dated her and stuff like that, I didn't learn my Spanish from being with her. It didn't progress me because she wasn't I guess like she didn't really speak the language that much around. So
And now, when you did you ever try speaking to her or her parents type of Spanish? And like, in that, why I'm asking that, like, did they like kind of like be like, oh, like he doesn't understand Spanish, like kind of just like push you off in that situation, or were they like, oh, like encouraging you, like they appreciate that you try to show it? So I'm just trying to see like maybe if there might be something there, if like you just have been like negative, I guess, reinforcements maybe in that situation if possible.
I guess like I really didn't I really wasn't around her family as much and stuff, but her mom was actually like she spoke Spanish, just straight Spanish. Wow. So like I would speak like the little bit of Spanish I knew, and we would have conversations in like her broken English and my broken Spanish. We would have conversations, but after that relationship was done with, it was like I never really pursued more of a coach or like someone like of the language to really learn it. But like even like then like I would go to church with her mom and stuff, to a straight Spanish speaking church.
Wow.
So like I would understand what the pastor was saying, but it's just like I couldn't communicate back in the language. So I would understand, like, when he's talking about, like when he's praying and he's talking to God and stuff, I would understand it, but I just can't respond back to it. And then sometimes I just get stuck with like the verbs and the like, how to say it back.
Past, present, all of it. Those are tough.
Yeah, so and it's like anything's tough when you don't really focus or practice on it, and that's literally how it's been. It's like, okay, I know enough to get by, but that's where like I'm getting challenged at, where my customers they actually want to dialect more, and it's like, yeah, I'm not willing to put in that extra effort, and it's like, yeah, but you want this, but you're not doing what it takes or requires to get there. So that's why I said this year, I'm like, you know what? I downloaded the app and everything like that. So like that. So that's not gonna be my full go-to, but that's just gonna be the basis where I can do it like on my own. But then even like today at my job, I was speaking to some of my customers and stuff like that. We was literally having conversation in Spanish with the Spanish that I know, and even the terms and the languages that like they were some of the phrases that they were teaching me, like, have a good weekend, like, que tengas un buen fin de semana, like, have a good weekend,
Okay,
so
okay.
I'm like,
I don't know, man. I feel like
that's really good,
so, man.
I was like, dang.
It's like, I know, and growing up in my high school, I was around a whole lot of Spanish-speaking people, so, like, my accent, I hear, like, oh, you have more of, like, a Dominican accent or something like that, so I know, like, the I'm not gonna say slang terms, but
Dominican the dialect of Spanish. It's not like a Spaniard proper. Hello, how are you? Yeah, it's more like, man. Like, ¿cómo está la familia? Todo bien? Yeah, like very
like, oh, yo, quiero que.
Quiero que.
Sí. Yeah, so like
very
it's
like
like
colloquial.
Yeah.
Very like
and then like
urban Spanish.
Yeah, and then I'm even getting corrected sometimes. Like like they'll correct me in the language and stuff like that, which is like I embrace it though, because I'm like, if you're speaking my language wrong, English wrong, I'm like, no, you said it this way. It's not that way. So I do take the criticism as well, but I know that I guess it's like an indictment on myself, because I'm like, man, Steve, you could do better. You could do more and stuff. So it's like more about me pushing myself to that more, because I know that I'm capable of it. And then also, like, with the language, sometimes when you don't know anything and you're starting from scratch, is better, because you're able to just build yourself up. So like, even with what the Spanish I do know is like, I'm like, I already know that. So I don't need to learn that. I don't need to go through the basics again. I know the numbers. I know the colors. Yeah, I'm like, I want to get to here. And it's like, no, you're rusty. Go back to the beginning and just start over. I'm like, I know, yo, vas, va, vamos, van. I know all these things. Yo quiero, I like. So it's like,
I get it.
And that's where I get like stuck up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna get it done.
But make it fun, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
So like now in light of kind of like that, like, how do you think? What are some? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's cool.
What are some practical ways in your life? Like, I want you to think about it, like, really right now, that you can make this fun rather than a chore.
Well, music wise, like,
that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's like, fair.
I could actually change my phone to actually full Spanish and actually know it. I know how to write. I know how to. I know how to write in Spanish.
That's what I'm saying,
I
bro.
can write it out.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just like,
bro.
Speaking.
You might as well just send it.
Yeah, full send, right? Full send.
It's like AD texts you and then like reply back like it's like 20 minutes later.
If I'm not using Google Translate when I'm talking to you, don't speak English to me again. No hablo inglés. No hablo inglés.
No, that's like also like where it's like it's like a running joke, right?
Yes.
Like, cause like I guess like the way I'm speaking Spanish, my customers like, yo hablo español. And I'm like, no hablo español, yo hablo inglés. No comprende español. Nadia, And they're like, you know Spanish. You know it. And it's like, that's like the basics of like, like literally, just perfecting 100%. What I already know.
No,
But it's like, it's an 8th grade level of knowing. So it's like,
Bro, at 8th grade, you
trying
can
to-
talk, man. Like,
Yeah,
in
no.
English, let's be honest. Like,
No, yeah.
Yeah.
after 2nd grade, you're good to
you're
communicate.
No, you're
And as
definitely
this
great
podcast is progressing, I'm like,
Yeah.
you speak a lot more Spanish than I thought you were coming off.
You're very hard on yourself there.
I'm like, you're losing me. I'm
Yeah,
like,
he
yeah,
said
I'm
last
like,
weekend, I was like, oh, the days of the week, like,
See, that's
You got the
that's-
vamos.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I had, like, literally, it's like baking a cake. You got the eggs right here, the flour right there, the milk and everything and stuff like that. And it's like
salt,
literally,
sugar, and you have the oven on.
and you have the oven on. The only
You just need
thing
to
is,
eat the cake.
no, I need to put it all together
Okay.
and mix it up. That's where it's at.
I
Like,
think you're mixed up, bro. I think
yeah,
you just
no.
need to pour it in the pan and put it in the oven. That's what I think. I think you're a step further than that.
Yeah. I probably do.
Part of it is so
Yeah.
like. Do you feel like there's a part of it that you? They throw this term around a lot, like called imposter syndrome. Do you feel
Imposter
like
syndrome.
imposter syndrome is basically like you feel like you shouldn't know something or like.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I'm like, is it possible that that's also operating as well? Because like, bro, from the little that you've been saying, I'm like, bro, not only is the accent in there, you are hitting the words.
Now we're getting down to the deeper. This might be for a different podcast, another time and stuff like that. But
What did you like
No,
growing
no,
up? Did you have any like speech impediment or anything?
no speech impediments and stuff like that. But like it's I literally would be fueled and drive by competitiveness.
Got it.
So like literally like if I had someone pushing me in a sense, okay, right? Like so in school, if I just grazed through it easily and stuff. Like I was on an honor roll throughout high school. I graduated top 10% of my class, had a scholarship to college and stuff, 2-year scholarship. So so in class, if I would just brush by, but if a kid in the class got a higher grade than me, I'm like, I wasn't even trying. I'm like, you know what? Next time, I'm gonna get you.
You gonna know my name.
Exactly, you know my name. But when it comes down to like with the Spanish thing and stuff, my thing with that was a part of me didn't want to fully indulge in learning it because I'm very attracted to the Spanish like community of women.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, maybe it's good
You
that
don't
I
understand
know.
what you're
Listen,
hitting it with this guy right
listen,
here.
Maybe it's good
You
that
better
I,
turn your face to the camera, bro. He's
Maybe
over here
it's-
laughing.
maybe.
He's over here laughing. No, guys and ladies, this guy is just smiling. He's cracking up because he's like, I am more like Steve than I ever thought. Like,
I don't know what he's talking about.
he's over here cracking up. He even got the smash. He's got the Enrique smash.
I'm fascinated
He's
by
like-
Latin culture.
He's like,
I'm intrigued.
You're intrigued.
I'm intrigued.
You're intrigued.
Intrigued.
You are very fascinated.
Very fascinated.
You have an Italian heritage and
Italian and Latin
Right.
culture.
I dated a Puerto Rican and Italian. That was my first girlfriend. Green eyes, and
Oh,
like.
Do I have to pray for you?
Listen, so, oh man, maybe we're more. But here's.
We're gonna go salsa dancing, my friend. That's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say.
Are you sure?
Listen. Here was.
Katie doesn't have to know.
yeah. Right. But here was the reason why, because like at the end of the day, God knows our hearts, and like for me, I'm like, I want to learn Spanish, but I want to do it for the right reasons because I'm like, I already have people like, and then like even like I've had like my friends whatever like in the female like Latins, they're like, oh wow, Steve, you're good at your Spanish and stuff like that. So now I'm like, oh I'm gonna learn more Spanish so I could conversate with you more. But it's like, whoa, what is my heart posture on this? Like so I guess another like you really hit deep on me with that with like I guess I've been shying away because I'm like, I don't want it to bring me to a place whereas
To draw you into sin.
yeah, to draw me into sin, because like now that I'm literally fully immersed in this language and stuff like that, and like having like being of a different culture and a different ethnicity, and you're able to communicate with other people on their language, they kind
Your
of
value goes up, kind of.
value goes up, and they literally are intrigued, and you're a mysterious person. Like wow, you know my language. Now is more open. It opens you up more to to get to know the person more for whatever. Yeah, exactly.
But my question is though, like again, if we consider our life and we think of things that are righteous, right?
Yeah.
if you want a wife, right? It's a good thing. God wants you to have a wife, right? But God doesn't want you to have an immoral life. Doesn't want you to lust. Doesn't want you to fornicate. Doesn't want you to kind of live a life of excess, and that you just defile your body, which is a temple, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is it ungodly for you to potentially pray and be like, Lord, you know the desires of my heart. You know that I tend to have an affinity towards women of this variation. But Lord, if it is your will that you reveal to me a partner suited for me, that is, because then it doesn't become weird. Because you don't want to, again, like, because I feel like a lot of times what Satan does is he uses the desires of our heart, or even our inclinations to now be temptation in our life. But it doesn't become temptation when you realize, like, okay, you know what, like, I like Spanish women, and rather than it being like I like Spanish women, you look at it as like I may desire Spanish wife, and there's no reason for that to like not be a desire. But obviously, when you think about marriage again, obviously that could maybe be something of trauma because of past experiences and things like that. But ultimately, you don't want your past to now hold you back from fulfilling that love, because you're a wonderful guy, you're caring, you're loving, and anyone would be lucky to be with you. But then it's you also believing that is the case, because you may have this false sense in the past, like, maybe I ain't really all that, and you're like beating yourself down over stuff. But like dwelling in the past and all that stuff, all that does is that it keeps you way down and allows you to operate in this part of your life where you don't really get to experience what it's like to have another half of yourself. Because literally when you get married, two become one. Yeah. And you're at a point in your life that you're much more mature the first time. And your heart posture, because when did you first get married?
Man.
Like how old were you? No, I'm sorry, well, how old were you? How was I?
I remember. It was 2012, so 91, 2001. Wait, hold on.
You're 23?
Yeah, I think I was like 23. Yeah, 2012 I was married, so it was more 91.
So 21.
Yeah, I was 21.
So you for someone to have pulled the trigger like that, bro?
21.
You wanted to get married, like you desired.
Oh yeah, I desired a family, like.
So sorry to go there, but we gonna go there now.
Yeah, we're here now.
So and I'm listening because I'm very curious about Latin culture, so I want some good feedback about that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So now whether we're there, like when you consider like your desire, what do you feel has happened with that desire through the years? If you don't mind going there.
The desire for marriage, or the desire to
marriage, yeah, or in general, or just what was the other part you were gonna?
No. Like I'm saying, like to keep on pursuing learning Spanish, like to the extent where I'm fluent in it.
And could that be a barrier? That's really what
Could that be a barrier?
That's what I'm interested. Because you mentioned when we went deeper that you realized that in learning the Spanish, you realize that you're afraid that could be a hook that could draw you back into your old life kind of thing.
Yeah.
But could it also be in terms of that too? It could also be trauma as well.
I think when it come down to it, I guess I was drawn to the toxic women,
Okay.
And I kind of was drawn to like the more feisty, yeah, it's something that drew me to that, the spiciness of it, so like I like that. What it's like, I know it's no good in the sense of it's just arguing and fighting, whatever, but it was something intriguing, get yelled at in a different language, oh yeah, I like this.
So you didn't want to understand.
I didn't. It wasn't good,
but you look cute. Sorry, Tom. Sorry, I'm just trying to lighten.
Listen. Tom has been halfway turned this whole time.
Because he's correct. Tom is correct. I'm over here opening to the audience, and you're wide open to that. Yo, Tom, you better, bro. Come on, this whole episode. His back has been turned to the camera because he's just straight up cracking up. I love it. I literally love it. Oh, it's just pure joy.
It is. Because when he's speaking, it's that's why I learned how salsa dances for that moment. I didn't care about salsa.
I don't want to dance. I just want to be around you yelling at me, possibly just getting angry. Absolutely.
It's like Ben Stiller off of Long King Polly and stuff.
Literally.
Like,
Then he went on to like literally be with J-Lo. Like if you think of what you consider even he wasn't strong enough to overcome it.
I wouldn't be strong enough with J-Lo. I don't think anybody in this room would be.
A-Rod is. A-Rod. He's like,
oh man. Yeah.
I got this.
He's like, I have to go. Sorry for cutting you off.
No,
It's hilarious. He literally has
No, I mean, but like like you said, like we're
Yes.
going into God in prayer, like like, hey, listen, I desire this and stuff. Like, let me know if this is good for me, or like just not. And I was 21,
Yeah.
being married, so like that. So a lot of like like the growing pains. Like my son is 13 this year,
Wow.
so just the ups and downs of just like life, and just like learning and growing. So I know I'm at a much better like place, like with my heart, and then like also like spiritually and mentally and emotionally. So now is more like making sure that like like, okay, just being more in prayer about it. Like, all right, God, like I desire this, and like no, I'm not. Now I wouldn't be learning the language for like to be going out there like trying to just like pull girls and stuff like that, just to like
You're not trying to raise a body count. You're
exactly.
trying to-
No, I'm not trying to do that at all. But I do desire like with my customers, it does bring them joy. It brings me joy too. Like to just be able to have a conversation. Like I watch like YouTube videos of like this. I don't know how you say it, like when you know multiple languages, like linguistics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where these people, they know literally multiple languages. Like, man, that is beautiful to like know and be able to like just to communicate more. So that's like the basis of why I want to do it. But when I was younger, like no, the only reason why is like I want to I just want to communicate because let's go salsa dancing, let's go party, whatever. So no,
So it's kind of like deconstructing the fetish of the language, and then now making it into something that's practical, which is actually, because again, that fetish part of it was something that was good and that you wanted communication.
Exactly.
But where a fetish goes wrong, a desire is okay, or like a joy is okay.
Yeah.
Interest in something is okay, but when now it becomes a fetish, that's where it becomes something that's not good.
Exactly.
Because it occupies a part of your heart that it really shouldn't be there, a part of your mind.
Exactly.
But now you're trying to deconstruct that fetish, and then now move forward and be like, no, I actually enjoy communicating with people in Spanish and seeing them light out and see that they're understood and communicated to, that they're not going to feel like they have to be taken advantage from, or they have to talk in their own language and be like, I'm stupid, like, you know what I mean, like. It's just like it's actually a joy to do.
No, exactly, and that's the thing where I'm guessing like where my my stagnation was is that like okay, like you just said, like with the constructive thing in the heart, like where okay, like it's not all about this. I really desire and I enjoy like communicating and stuff. So like I'm like, oh man, and even like having this like conversation right now, I actually just pull some stuff out where it's like what, hey, I actually can like get into doing this because my heart isn't just set on learning the language just for this reason.
Yes.
So even though like I enjoy like the Latin culture and the Spanish culture and stuff like that, it's like I'm not just doing it just for this. And then also my son is half Spanish, so like
literally,
I gotta communicate with him as well.
100%. And as a father, it's very important for you to instill with your son, because you don't want there to be a situation when he's 25, 30 years old and they're like, oh, your parents did it,
Yeah,
because you actually have the ability to instill it in him, actually, if you really consider it. Because even when the times that he's with you and you're in this immersive process, he's, Dad, why are we listening to Telemundo? Dad, why are we listening to this in Spanish? He's like, son, listen, like this is a very important thing in life. Because even if you're learning math, that's a different language. Yeah. Anything you do in life is like another language. Yeah. And this is a language that should be home to you because your grandmother literally speaks this. So you have all access to this. So if me, your dad, who like this is something that I'm passionate about, I'm going towards it, why not you at a very basic level should be able to communicate with this, and it's gonna help you. Today, like someone asked me, like, do you speak Spanish? And I kind of chuckled a lot. I was like, I speak a lot of other languages, but not Spanish. But it's like, how ignorant is that to not speak Spanish in America?
Yeah.
When I had every opportunity to, or we had every opportunity to.
Hey, listen, I think we all need to go out, to like salsa club or something like that and learn some.
Yeah, I'll take my
Spanish.
wife. I mean, it might lead to another baby, but I'm okay with that.
You want 10, right?
Roomba, that Roomba. So what about you, man?
No, go.
So I was gonna ask you, like, in terms of leisure, like, what's something that you like to do for leisure? I'm just curious.
So honestly, this is something that I've struggled with a lot because I realized I was very one-dimensional and that
Yes.
like the only things I would do would be work out,
Yes.
eat, and work.
Wow.
And I did that for many years. And I just neglected friendships, hobbies, all that. And honestly, like, it's sad to say, but I came to a point in my life, probably like when I really started doing therapy and like kind of like thought about it, it's like, I don't even know what I really enjoy doing. Like it's awful. Like I really don't know. I mean, I do enjoy working out. Like that is something I'm very passionate about. But I came to a point in my life, I'm like, I really don't like know. I don't have any hobbies. I don't like have anything that like I like enjoy doing. And then through introspection, like I realized like, okay, what do I enjoy doing? I enjoy helping people, being around like-minded people, and giving to people. So I then found like, and I really enjoyed like pickleball, volleyball. I enjoy sports like that. So I joined like volleyball league. I try to play pickleball when I can at my gym. If you work out Lifetime Bridgewater, you know it's hard as heck to sign up for a class. I like signed up the week before. It's so annoying. I miss the good old days like a year ago where you just pull the cord out and play. But playing that sport, just moving my body. But I also realized it's also to a detriment because all my activities are physical based. And when I was sick and when I broke my neck, I was really like, okay, what else can I do?
Yes.
And so that's where it's like giving back. And when I broke my neck, I didn't have anything I could really give back to. I just like was working on my business and just like I guess reading. But now with like this podcast, with like posting and as I build a following, I hope to, if I ever am in a situation where my physical body is no longer active, okay, I could post content, I could post like my experience with this, I could post, and give back and create, and I think that would be like a good leisure activity. So I don't really have things, and I do, honestly, it's weird, I do, and I enjoy like movies,
Yes.
but I beat myself up for watching TV.
Really?
That's something I struggle with, because like, I grew up in a very TV dominated household. Like my dad, like if he was as when the winter when he wasn't working, he was just glued to the TV because he had no hobbies. So like he would be out working 24/7 or like glued just like watching TV in the winter when the pool season was slow.
Wow.
And so I grew up and I was like, we're a big TV house. Like we'd watch like TV at night together or like movies, whatever. But as I grew and like try to figure out my like road to success and like self-improvement, all that, I like TV's a waste of time. Like I could be reading, I could be working. And so even though for me it actually does like reset me, even if it's like for 30 minutes, and it's kind of like an escape, and I actually do sleep better. I wear like an Oura ring, I track my sleep. I sleep better if I do watch 30 minutes of TV.
Wow.
If it's not like anything like super engaging.
Stimulating.
Yeah. I sleep better versus if I just like would work posting videos or work on my pool stuff or even read a non-fiction book.
Wow.
Because it stimulates me, like a self-help book. But if I do read fiction, then I'm better. So it's like I have to be mindful too of like sometimes it's okay not to be that hard out. And that for me is like I'm working now, and I mean I started to introduce TV honestly back. Like I'm starting to watch Jack Reacher. Great show, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
And but it's still like after I watch, I'm like, oh, I could have been doing this. Like it's a weird thing. It's like again self-sabotage, become my own worst enemy, because I know like throughout the day I worked whatever 8, 10, 12 hours. Okay, what's an hour of this? It'll recharge, like you're saying, like finding things that actually recharge and I'll be more productive tomorrow versus if I just worked all day to the night. And I wake up and I didn't sleep that good. I wake up the next morning and like just keep doing the same thing and just be miserable for what? Versus like allowing myself to enjoy 30 minutes or an hour of TV at night. Like, so but I really enjoy like the pickleball, volleyball, working out like that for me is like my real fun that I enjoy. I guess my leisure activity, and then beyond that, I guess it's like reading or like watching good movies or TV shows.
So when you consider like, because I think one thing that I've always admired about you is like your marathon versus the sprint approach. When you consider like the whole process of your diet and like coming down and losing a lot of weight and being super fit now, like what did you find happened like you started to see a lot of progress?
So I think I reached a point where I was just fed up because I kept like doing like 30-day sprints or 60-day sprints or 90 days, where just like white knuckling it. Like I have no problem white knuckling it. And then like when I would finally, like after 90 days or sometimes like 3 months or 6 months of these crazy diets where I look great,
Yes.
and I would just be like, I'd be like, that was awful, and like, okay, I look good in the mirror, and I wish I could maintain this, but it's impossible. I can't maintain this. And then like I'd eat one bad thing and then just go off the rails, like in binge.
Wow.
Like I just kept doing that cycle, trying to find the perfect diet, like doing keto, doing intermittent fasting, doing low carb, doing the slow carb diet, doing the potato diet, doing carnivore diet. I tried it all, and I then came to a point after like I remember like one of like a bad binge. I'm like, I used to binge and then fast the next day.
Wow.
Because I binged, and then like it's the worst possible thing after a binge. If you're actually physically hungry, and then like you starve yourself the next day, and then you just repeat the cycle. It's like it don't. So, but I came to a point where I'm like, I realized like, okay, it's not 3 months from now. I'm not working out for 3 months. I'm not working out for 6 months from now. I'm not even working out for a year from now. I want to be in good shape and good like health for the rest of my life. And I also, again, we talked about Mind Pump. It's a great podcast. And instead of, especially people that are orthorexic, basically people who are hyper-consumed with how they look. A lot of guys are. Girls, I think girls are, but usually guys, like, they start working out and everything, then they speak all consumed, like, with how they look in the mirror. They're not big enough, or they're too big. It's just never right. And that was me. I was always consumed, like, okay, are my abs showing? Do I have bicep vein? Like, I was just hyper-consumed. Mm-hmm. And I then came, okay, I want to eat, diet, eat, sleep, work out in a way where I feel good. And so by actually stop chasing aesthetics and chasing more performance, like, okay, do I have good energy today? Am I sleeping good? Am my workouts good? Am I like good with work? Like, is my mood good throughout the day? Like, I think by focusing like long term and also stop being super fixated with this looks and more on performance, that's where I came to this journey. And I honestly, at the time when I started this journey, I knew it actually, I would have to gain weight.
Wow.
Because at the time, I ruined my metabolism. People don't realize your metabolism is always in flux.
Yes.
And if you are, and that's why you see people that, like, they say, like, I'm only eating 1,000 calories a day, I'm not losing weight. I mean, majority of people, they're actually eating more, they don't realize it. But some people, I've seen it with clients, because I'm from former personal trainer, where these women are working out an hour or two a day, and they are only eating 1,000 calories. Like, I believe them, like type A, all this, but they have yo-yo dieted so much that they slowed their metabolism down. And so I was at a point where I was actually 10 pounds heavier than I am now, and only eating 2,000 calories a day and working out at least an hour to 90 minutes 7 days a week.
Wow.
And I realized at the point, like, this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
And again, learning about metabolism, learning about reverse dieting, I'm like, okay, I'm actually have to get fat a little bit. And so I did. I actually got heavier, but I increased calories. So I gained probably another 5 or 10 pounds, but my calories, instead of being at 2,000, I was probably at 230, 235, and I was at like 3,000, 3,500 calories. And then from there, I went up to like almost under 4,000, and then I started then working myself back down. And like, again, you have to realize your metabolism is like, it's like, you got to keep it guessing. So if you diet hard for 6 months, you're not going to be as productive in the sense of keeping muscle, losing fat, versus if you go on micro diets, where you diet for 3 weeks, do a maintenance week, maybe a refeed week, and then diet back down. If you keep keeping it cycling, because then you're keeping metabolism from like stalling. It's like, okay, your body gets used to 2,000 calories, and so it's like, okay, then you do that for 3 weeks, and the next week you do 2,500. But it's like, oh, we're getting more food. And then maybe the next week you do 3,000. It's like, oh, we're getting more food. You might even gain a pound, but then you go back down to 2,000, and you're losing weight again. Wow. Versus if you're at 2,000 and you'll lose weight initially, you'll keep that, but then by month 6, okay, you might not even lose weight after month 3. You might have to increase cardio, to decrease calories more. Versus if you do like take a diet break, but a smart diet break, not okay, I'm going from 2,000 calories to 6,000 calories, because then you're just gonna get fat. But if you go from 2,000 to like 2,750, so it's a science in the sense like you got to keep your body guessing. Yes. But again, it's a long journey, because like it'd be easier, or you want the quicker fix. Like, hey, just eat 2,000 calories for 6 months to lose the weight, but you're not gonna have the good metabolism at the end of it, and you're also not gonna lose probably as much fat as you would if you did micro stuff. So I had that approach, and it was frustrating because like at first like I was actually getting fat, but my metabolism was increasing, and I was lifting still, which is important to know.
Yes.
Through this whole process I was lifting weight, so I was more focused on building muscle and actually bulking when I didn't want to bulk, in a sense, like to build my metabolism up. So I built muscle, got stronger. I was tracking like on a DEXA scan my muscle, and like I was working with the time. This guy shot out. He unfortunately passed away, but his name was Dr. Tom. He was out in I believe South Amboy. Great guy. He was a former natural bodybuilder, awesome dude, and he helped me work through this. Like I just felt lost. I'm like, I'm doing everything right. You know, I'm only eating 2,000 calories a day. I'm exercising 90 minutes, and I'm like puffy. I feel weak. Like I'm just not. I'm like I'm lost. And he's like, we're actually going to increase the food, do less cardio, get stronger, and it was, I showed you a picture today. I'll post this eventually. It was a 3-year journey.
Yeah.
And now I eat probably, again, I don't eat the same thing every day because I'm not tracking, but I could eat 3,500 calories in a day. And I weighed myself the other day. I was like 213, 214.
Wow.
And this is a good weight for me, and I feel comfortable, and I don't feel like I'm, you know, in the past to be at this weight in this body type, I'd be miserable because I would be like, I can't have a sweet potato, I can't have carbs after 6, or I can't have like fatty, like I would be so hyper consumed. So I think people, they want the short term 3 month down the line, which it is hard work no matter what you do, but it's like, what can you actually see yourself doing long term? And honestly, for most people, it's the opposite. It's like, I want to build your metabolism up. It's a science. So like, actually, like if you're been yo-yo dieting, if you've been trying to lose weight and you're only eating, like, especially for females, it's even more, but like guys, you're only eating like 2,000 calories or something. It's like, could you eat 2,000 calories for the rest of your life? Is that actually sustainable?
No.
So it's like, you might have to do the opposite. The last thing you want to do is actually add more food, but good food.
Yes.
And still get strong. Weight room, lift, less cardio actually, and more strength training. Actually get strong, and go from there. But the tough part is most people, they only see 3 months down the line. It's like, I don't care. I just want in 30 days. I want to go into like on a vacation. I want to look good. But if you actually want to make this a lifestyle, it's like you might have to do the least thing you want to do. And at the time for me, the last thing I want to do was gain weight.
Yeah.
And
I had to in order to.
So actually, I increased my food, and I decreased my activity.
Wow.
And I decreased cardio. So I was working out 7 days a week, and I went to only working out like 3 to 4 days a week. But the other days I was still active, like walking and stuff.
Of course.
But like just totally changed, like the opposite. And again, I did gain weight, but I got strong. I built muscle, and then that helped build my metabolism up to then have a foundation where I can work down from.
It's nice.
But it's a long journey, and the tough part is, it's not quick.
It's not.
But if you want to be sustainable, it's not going to be quick.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So like in light of all of that, like when you consider like your now new journey with leisure and try to be kind of like, you know, appreciate life for being short, how can you apply some of those things into that? Like, or how are some ways you have been applying it, and what are some ways in light of kind of like you being there mentally that you can now have an action plan moving forward with that?
Because I think, especially just the last like 6 months, I've always had the approach for most of my life of like, okay, I could white knuckle through this for delayed gratification. That's never been an issue in my book, is like, I know I'll get to that predestined goal. But something I've talked about before is like, I for the first time was like, I might not live to see that predestined goal.
Wow.
So why am I going to suffer, be miserable now to get to there, versus like, how can it might take me longer to get to that goal. It probably actually will take me longer, but I'll enjoy the ride more.
Yes.
So I'm willing now to compromise with that. And so what that looks like is not having to, I mean, if I want to, I will, but like not having to work weekends, being flexible and not so rigid with my schedule with work, for example. Like even today, perfect example, like you wanted me to come over to, like we hung out tonight, and I was working on something with like pool work. I was like doing stuff in like QuickBooks for my accountant, and honestly, like 2 years ago, I might have came later, or I might not have came at all, because like I want to finish, like I'm in the zone, like I'm working, like this takes like priority. But then I'm like, this is gonna add so much value. I'm gonna enjoy hanging out with these guys. Like this is gonna be fun, and like it's not pressing. Like
Yes.
there's like there's no deadline.
Literally.
There's no, like it's so
It's like this hard-o mentality.
Yeah,
It's
like Monday I'll probably have the whole day to myself.
literally,
to do it.
literally.
Yeah, and so I think having that framework of.
And not only that, you probably have a fresher pair of eyes now.
100%.
Because now you're like relaxed and wine. Now when you go back into that zone, because you actually have to try to get back into that zone, you're gonna like, all right, how can I get this done so I'm available again to have that dopamine hit again of being around people and hanging out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess what's also looking for the balance is like, I look back in the last like couple of years of my life and I did not have balance. And the truth is, I think most successful people at points in life, there is no balance. And that's a cost. It's something we talk about in like another episodes, probably talking about the cost of success, the cost of being in shape, cost of being out of shape. Like there's a cost to everything. And I look back in the last 5 years and I realized what the cost was that I gave up. And for me, that cost was not worth it.
Yes.
And the cost was relationships, which were friendships and intimate relationships. That was the cost to get me where I am today.
And you're okay with it.
And
at the time, you were.
I thought that was okay. And then I now realize when everything else is gone, all you care about is the relationships.
Yes.
And also, if you reach any pinnacle of success and you have no relationships, like you're just gonna spend it on yourself. Like you're just gonna ball out like by yourself. Like that's not fun.
Literally.
So what's the point of that? So I think I've been lucky to realize this early on. To realize I gotta have more balance or prioritize things differently. Because I do think like for me, I enjoy working. I enjoy like striving, improving. But improvement doesn't necessarily only be a business or financial thing. It could be improving friendships.
We're doing it right now. Like literally just
building connection.
Pressing into a relationship,
Or a relationship with yourself too.
Literally.
It's true.
Yeah, because like I would use work as an escape. Like it was literally my drug. I'm fortunate that I never used alcohol or any drugs. I did use food as an escape later on in life with the binging. But once I got away from that, like most of my drug of choice was work. It's just if I was feeling sad or feeling anxious or whatever, it's like, oh, there's always work to be done. And I think now I realize it's not healthy. And I'm working through to feel emotions again and doing that fun process. But so yeah, again, it's a work in progress because I do value and I do see like how much like working hard on something in business and work has improved my life.
Yeah.
But I also realize how much it's taken away.
Absolutely.
So it's finding that, that balance.
I just want to say thank you, man. I'm not thanking you for myself. I'm thanking you for your future kids and your future wife because, we talked a lot 2 years ago about kind of like how you aspire to have a family and things like that. Well, what that looks like is you actually doing what you just very did. Like there's some days that I really, really have the desire to work. Like I have the drive. But I look at my wife, she's not feeling well. I look at my daughter, I kind of miss her. Like, you know what? I'm just going to cancel my calendar and just stay home with them. Like, because it's like understanding that they're more important than anything I'm doing out there. And then the funny thing, ironically, when I do go on Monday, I absolutely slaughter it that day. Because I'm like, all the hay's in the barn. The hay is in the barn. But if the hay's not in the barn, it's very difficult to kind of do those things.
Okay. But what about yourself? What leisure activities do you enjoy, sir?
Leisure activities. Steve, you want to answer that question?
No, my good friend, that is.
You know a couple leisure activities I enjoy, right? You know, right, Steve?
Working out.
Yeah, exactly. I love the bench press. I love lifting.
Lift things up and put them down.
I like lifting weights till I can't move because of pain. I actually enjoy the pain of exercising. I don't trade legs. I got that critique on videos. Well, one of my buddies from high school too hit me up, was like, "Hey man, do you ever trade legs?" I'm like, "Bro, no, maybe once a week." But no, I really enjoy working out. Like it is. I think we share that sentiment. This week was kind of interesting because normally on every week I do like 8, 10, or 12 workouts. Like this week I took off, so I worked out on Monday once. Tuesday I took off. No, I worked out Monday twice. And then Tuesday I took off. Wednesday I worked out once, and I took Thursday off, which is weird because normally I'm working out all throughout the week. but it's like it's super fun to like take time off, honestly, and just like be, because I felt like it got to a point where like it started to be an addiction again. And I was like, I probably should not be working out to this extent. And it was harder, honestly, to not work out, because I felt like I was more sore now that I took time off. Because when I didn't take time off, my strength kept going higher and higher and higher. That's another part that I like. Like, I'm doing reps with weight that like 5 years ago I couldn't even touch. I have like new baby gains, but like an intermediate strength. I don't know how to explain it. Like my incline bench is like 365 right now. I can't believe it. I'm still trying to come to terms with it. I had 405 that day, but I decided not to take it. I'm not eating carbs this month, so I've been talking to my nutritionist about that. I'm super pumped to reintroduce carbs and see what the strength is going to be. It's actually going to be some numbers where people are going to start to question whether I'm taking drugs or not. I'd love to go back to that. Like, there was a time when I came back from college once, and my mentor my very good close teacher of mine, who actually was my peer advisor. They call them peer advisors, basically teacher mentor. She pulled me aside and she was like, Adedire, I just want to ask you this. I'm not trying to offend you. Do you take any drugs? And honestly, that was great, man. I wasn't, but like I felt, I can't wait for people to start pulling out the daddy card on me and be like, yo, bro, you're not daddy. And I know fully well I am.
You are, yeah.
But like, yeah, I look forward
But
to
are
it.
you though, sir?
Oh, yeah. It's too soon, but I am daddy. I just started
Are
taking.
you holding out on me?
I just started taking magnesium
Oh,
citrate.
you're not that anymore.
No. What is it? Magnesium citrate?
It's malate and glycinate. It's a
Yeah.
what's it called? It's a combination.
It's basically a magnesium supplement. What does it do? Like,
So magnesium has multiple roles in the body, like brain function, muscle. Like, well, people think like if you get like muscle cramps, usually you have low magnesium, but it helps you sleep. It helps with cognitive function. It helps with bowel movement. So if like you're constipated, honestly, laxatives, you go to like CVS or whatever, it's just magnesium.
wow.
So yeah, if you like you notice like you have issues like you're backed up a lot, I recommend taking a magnesium supplement, not a laxative over the counter,
Yeah.
but just find like a good broad spectrum magnesium. There's so many functions in the body.
Does it make you stronger?
Helps with anxiety. It can 100% help make you. It just like it helps your your body fire, like because we're energetic beings, and so it helps like your body fire better.
Yeah.
So it has so many functions. So I definitely recommend a good magnesium supplement. Also, going into I guess the supplement talk, a lot of supplements. Just backstory to our listeners. Don't buy just the cheap supplements.
Don't.
That was me. I'm going to Walmart when I was in college. I'm like, I get all this protein, this Jack 3D, like this testosterone
FME
booster.
side.
Like all that is probably trash. The cheapest supplements are not the best ones. But when you're younger, you think like Mass Builder XXX. You think like all these supplements. You're like, I'm gonna get huge. Like
that name is very scary. That's it's like what are you? It's like that's marketing.
So I definitely recommend look for supplements that are third-party tested, that are NSF certified, which means National Sport Federation, that they're certified. Because that means they can't have any banned substances in them. Good brands that I recommend are Thorne, Pure Encapsulations, now food brands. Legion has good supplements, but definitely look for third-party tested, usually GMP certified. Also, LabDoor is a good source to see like actually reviews on the supplements, but don't just buy the cheap Walmart or Amazon, wherever the cheapest protein or the cheapest multivitamin or testosterone booster. Definitely do your research, because a lot of them with supplements, it's not FDA regulated. They could literally put anything in them.
Like steroids.
They could put steroids. They could say this is protein powder, and it could be baby powder. Like literally, there's no testing.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's not FDA verified. And a lot of these protein powders, they do like protein spiking. So in a sense, it could actually show up that it has all the amino acids, but it's just like BCAAs.
Wow.
Because they just test the amino acids. It's not, might even be whey protein. So again, don't just go for the cheap supplements. Realize it's like your body, if you're working out, want to take care of yourself, eat well, realize like if you can't afford them yet, just eat whole foods, get good sleep, exercise
don't take
well.
them at all.
Yeah, don't take them. Yeah, but make sure you don't just take like the cheapo brand. Make sure you actually look, because again, you could be actually taking something that's actually awful for your body.
Yeah.
Or you're just literally just peeing it out or just throwing money down the toilet because you're just getting crappy protein.
My magnesium's good though, right?
Your magnesium is now food brand. It's a good brand.
So it's very, very clean, very bioavailable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's readily to be used by the body. And then finally, for leisure, I enjoy hanging out with my friends. I enjoy listening to people too. I enjoy conversation and interaction. So we were talking about like seeing people light up. Like I love that. I love that. Fantastic.
All right, before we wrap it up, we gotta go to
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Okay, give us some tips on how to acquire a Latin woman.
Latin.
Oh man.
You put him on the spot, bro.
This man's got
Sir, what's with that question?
I
Are you okay? Are you okay?
Me never.
Are you hiding something from the camera?
I'm not hiding nothing. I'm just
showing your
curious.
face.
I am curious, man.
No, I mean,
Should we ask another question?
Do you see? Okay, I'll rephrase this. Do you see yourself ever dating a Latin woman again, or are you not just you're looking for just any like a woman with these attributes, or are you still actually looking for a future?
I guess that's a good question.
That
What
is-
are you looking for? What are you looking
That is
for?
pretty
that is a
The future
great
partner,
question.
yeah.
Actually, that's a great question because preference-wise, opposed to like now I'm at a stage in my life where it's like preference, what I prefer, opposed to like what I need. Like, and that's where I guess like literally for me personally, I do not discriminate. I love all ethnicities, so I'm not discriminating against any one of them at all. But preference is Latin, and but how would you acquire one? I mean, to be honest with you, I learned Spanish.
I love it. It's simple.
Great way to end it.
And you hear that, folks? If you want to acquire a Latin woman,
Exactly.
you heard from literally, man has been through
Literally
experience
said
in
it.
the trenches.
Exactly.
Yes.
Learn Spanish.